It's 12 o'clock, so we will get started. If you don't know me, I am Amber Rowden. I'm the community storyteller at Rainforest. I am hosting for Bridget this week, so bear with me. I will pass it over to Ruth Ann to go through what Rainforest is and etiquettes. As soon as I share my screen.
Yeah, so welcome everybody. I'm Ruth Ann Weeks. I am a member of the Edmonton Steering Committee, and we are happy to be here and grateful to Calgary for letting us co-host and just be involved in the forest as we dive into just our framework here. So just to this is a welcoming place where people get to grow big ideas. So just a little bit of etiquette on how we're going to conduct ourselves today. Just use your raise hand function if you have a comment or question. Amber and I will both be monitoring the chat for questions, and we'll try to keep that going. And we just want to use that chat function rather than people jumping on with by unmuting themselves all the time, because just for time, you will find that this hour goes by very, very quickly. So the rainforest is an analogy. It talks about farms. So factory farms are set up to be very efficient. They're risk adverse. We want to maximize yields and minimize risk. Innovation doesn't necessarily grow there. The rainforest is the exact opposite of that. Rainforest is an environment where new ideas get to sprout and find fertile ground. And when they are supported and encouraged, wonderful things can happen. We talk about our vision. Our vision is so big, ideas can grow right here in Alberta, right here at home. And the mission talks about connection and trust. Trust is the key through the rainforest, and just creating that environment of psychological safety where it's free and encouraged to take interpersonal risk in expressing thoughts, opinions, and ideas. And that is where the magic happens. There is a social contract. If you've not already signed the social contract, this is what made me so excited about the rainforest community. I am a social innovator. I am not tech centric. I am a social innovator. My business is Harmony in the Workplace. So corporate social innovation is what I'm all about. And this exemplifies that environment of psychological safety that is so very important in creating cohesion and trust and innovation. So if you haven't already done that, check it out. It's on the website, and it's a wonderful thing to just lay the ground rules for how we play in the sandbox here. There are 6 pillars that we talk about. Culture is 30% weighted the heaviest, and that is about trust, respect, civility. We grow leaders here. And it, just really encouraging each other through these pillars, and just walk the talk of the rainforest philosophy and what that looks like. Competition kills creativity, but all boats rise on a rising tide. And just before we get started here, I am going to shamelessly promote a psychological safety symposium that I have coming up at the end of May. I'm going to put the link in the chat box, and I encourage you to share that and consider joining us. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Ruth Ann. Speaking of building a culture of trust, we have our fireside chat this Friday, March 26th, with Greg Horowitz, kind of where the inception of Rainforest came from. So if you haven't already register for that. It's going to be great. And we are very excited to have Cody, Reeves, and Alitta Tait with us today from Harvest Builders, joining us to share how they remove the barriers to launching and scaling up ventures in the prairies through knowledge sharing and team building, and their approach to diversity and inclusion and support for startups. So Alitta Tait is the head of partnership engagements at Harvest. She is an accomplished program leader who brings over 12 years of experience in leadership, talent management, and organizational effectiveness to the Harvest team. Alitta started her career in technical recruiting, supporting clients such as TELUS, Enbridge, and BioWare, then moved into a corporate talent acquisition role where she built the team from the ground up to support the organization's international growth. Over the last 9 years, Alitta has expanded her expertise to include change management, coaching, diversity, and inclusion strategies and organizational effectiveness, which she has implemented in both startup and enterprise organizations alike. Alitta is passionate about developing meaningful projects and programs that will support and accelerate the business strategy of an organization. Cody Reeves is the Partnership Engagements Manager at Harvest. In this role, Cody wears many hats, including Connector and Harvest Program Navigator. This includes engaging with the entrepreneurial community, tech organizations, and innovators, supporting them in navigating the Prairie tech ecosystem, as well as working with founders and organizations to understand their top challenges and key business milestones, to strategize how Harvest can provide value through their programs, services, and partnerships. Cody is passionate about connecting and developing people, networks, and business ecosystems to drive synergies and opportunity. He brings expertise in recruitment across IT, digital, and creative skill sets, as well as talent attraction and retention strategy in these areas. So we were very excited to have you both with us today, and I will pass it over to you both to get the Lunch Without Lunch started.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm really excited to be here and to sort of virtually meet you all. I think during COVID, any chance we get to, connect and learn from each other and hear each other's stories is always a good time for me. And so, Ruth Ann, what you were talking about of that connection and being able to bring people together to really, story tell and vibe together is really important. And I'm really, really happy to be here. So thank you. I'm just going to dive right in. I know we want to spend lots of time in conversation and stuff, so let's just go for it. Cody, do you want to go for sharing your screen there?
Working on it right now. If everyone wants to give a thumbs up when you can see it.
Yeah, you're good.
Excellent.
I think we can see your, I don't know if it's in share mode, but that works.
How are we doing?
That's good. So if you want to, actually, Cody, why don't you kick us off with Harvest?
Sure. So, who is Harvest? So Harvest on our end, we're overall an innovation platform for both venture building and growth, primarily focused within the prairies, so central Canada here. Our overall mission is really to support entrepreneurs and helping bridge some of those skills, resource, fundraising gaps throughout the life cycle of tech companies and startups and all of those challenges that they face. As a not-for-profit organization, we're focused on really serving our communities through a variety of programs, services, events, and operations, and really aligning to our overall mission, which is very similar to many of the people that we have here today. Is we want to build a stronger tech ecosystem in the prairies, help break down some barriers in finding those level supports and driving awareness to what support is actually available to them in their own backyard. On top of that, we also look to build strategic partnerships and collaborations wherever possible within our ecosystem to help drive some further synergies and complement what Harvest has to offer. So Harvest as a whole, we were started in very early 2020. So we just completed our first full year of operations, which, as most organizations had its fair share of curveballs, challenges that we were able to continually adapt to given the current market conditions, some restrictions that we've had, and of course, COVID. We have a head office and located out in East Village in the old Experience Center, which is a beautiful building that we were hoping to bring a whole lot of people into and meet us in person, and hopefully we can still do that in the near future. But we're currently all remote, so everyone gets to see the little backdrop of my zebra painting in my apartment. So until then, this is what you get, and you get Alitta and I.
Thanks, Cody. So not unlike what Cody mentioned, our vision is really to build the Canadian prairies, to be that global epicenter of innovation and technology. For me, personally, and for many of us at Harvest, but I'll speak for myself, I'm from Alberta, born and raised in Alberta. I have, through my career, spent time working in technology, oil and gas, the beauty industry, you name it, as a consultant and working with different startups and enterprise organizations alike. I have seen the ups and downs that we've all been through. And So part of what makes me very passionate and really driven by this vision to build a better future in the prairies is how we can be a part of diversifying, growing, uniting, and bringing, more business and uniting existing businesses into the prairies. So, whether it's uniting, bringing more talent in, whether it's uniting other stakeholders like angel investors or founders who are just figuring out the pathway. It really is our vision to help diversify, grow, and innovate within the Canadian prairies. So how we're going to do that? Our goal is to accelerate a company's growth across its various stages. We use our proven playbooks. We've built these off the experiences of, Skip the Dishes, as many of you know. Chris Mayer, who is our founder, he had the success of Skip the Dishes and many of the highs and lows and experiences and dynamics that came with building that organization. And, we keep that network really strong with the previous founders of Skip, et cetera, and also have brought other members into Harvest who spent time in Silicon Valley, who have spent time in Denver in that ecosystem, or across the prairies, Canada, what have you. So we're really pulling that together to create the Harvest playbook of how we support and see these milestones along the journey of a startup to a full-fledged, successful revenue generating company. And we want to be able to bring that to both the organizations that we're building internally, which we'll talk about how we do that, and the organizations that we can partner with and support with our services. So as I mentioned, we're really focused on supporting the prairies. My background is over here. I'm pretty passionate about myself. And for most of the members, we either come from or have lived within this, this orange patch in this country and have a lot of ties to helping to build, grow, and expand what we're doing here in the prairies. I noticed one comment that I can go ahead and answer right now, may as well. Is Harvest affiliated with Neo Financial? We're going to get into what those portfolio companies look like for us. So we'll definitely get into, and probably in the next slide. And then, for anyone, I may as well say it right now, for anyone looking to understand Harvest in more depth and potentially partner with us in the future, Cody and I are great points of contact, and so is Nina, that you can always reach out to, whether it's on LinkedIn or email or what have you. So we'll make sure everyone has that contact information available. So to answer the Neo question and to talk further about our venture builder side, we've built two key programs or two sides of Harvest that we focus on. One is our venture builder program, and that is where we are ideating, finding the white space, building founder teams, and really kicking off startups. Neo Financial is one that has come through that program. I've been with Harvest for just over a year now, so have been a part of helping to work on Neo for about 16 months now. It is what we call internally at Harvest a portfolio company, something that we are, involved in that early stage formation, discovery formation stage in, and that then kicks out and is a beast of its own. We're still providing other services to Neo and within the growth programs perspective that we'll talk about here. But that's the relationship to Neo, is that we helped to get them off the ground, to build their founding team, to create their marketing strategies, what have you. And now they're off on their own growing and expanding very, very quickly, as we maybe have heard about so far. We have a couple of other companies that we're working on right now, specifically in the fintech space. One is a property management company, and another is within the wealth management space. And there's going to be announcements coming out about those in the next month or so. And what for us at Harvest made sense about this venture builder space is that we want to be practicing what we preach. We want to be actually in it and understanding, some of the dynamics that we're still seeing for a startup in the prairies. We want to be providing that subject matter expertise to help build these, globally competitive organizations at the same time as servicing other organizations and helping other partners within the ecosystem. So we really see that those two are married together with our vision of diversifying and growing the tech ecosystem in the prairies. So we're going to get into more detail about the growth programs, but that's our two sides, is that founder or that builder side, and then that growth services side.
Yeah, so we can jump right into the growth programs, and this is an area where Alitta and myself spend a lot of our time. Our growth programs do support our internal ventures at different stages, but realistically, this is a level of programming and services that we offer to entrepreneurs and startups across Canada, but very much focused in the prairies. Within these programs, we can support organizations at various stages, whether you're an MVP, just at an MVP stage, or you're a startup that's looking to go to market. And we've even supported more mature revenue generating organizations that are looking to scale more efficiently and effectively, or even just move into a new market. On our end, when it comes to supporting startups versus supporting larger businesses, or more mature businesses, we've had experience in helping these established organizations as well bring a more entrepreneurial approach and mindset into their existing business, which is overall helping us to support that entirety of ecosystem across multiple facets. This is something within our growth programs as we go through as well, that in our future state and as we grow, we're looking to be able to we're looking to be able to cover a wider gambit of these people within the ecosystem and support them in different facets and meet them where they're at, really. So a little bit about where we best support and our internal capabilities. Our growth programs are focused in four main areas. One being the strategy, innovation, and finance, marketing, performance marketing, people and recruitment, and then as well as strategic partnerships, which is something that Alitta and I can get into a little bit later. To give you an idea of how we approach these programs and services, we spend a lot of time working on the front end to really understand your business, where you are at in that life cycle of your organization, as well as where are the challenges? What's keeping you up at night is a great question we like to ask. Where would you like to be? And understanding where the gaps are within your team or organization and how Harvest may be able to support. Then from there, we actually, alongside our subject matter experts internally, we help scope those engagements, understand exactly what it is that we can bring to the table that's going to support you in the best way possible. And then we get into the execution and building out those strategic deliverables that are going to help build that foundation for future growth. So in a little bit more detail, when it comes to strategy, innovation, and finance, it's really focused around coming in and understanding your roadmap and strategy for raising capital, setting up investment, ensuring that your team has all of the items and pieces necessary to actually reach out to investment, understand what potential investors are looking for, or what your capital stack looks like. So is it private investment? Is it venture capital? Is it grants? Are you looking at the different wage subsidies available to you? There's lots of different ways that you can fund a business, and some are better for certain organizations than others. Within our people services, we cover a couple of facets. One is recruitment. We actually offer end-to-end services, and we specialize in really all of the business support functions that helps make startups grow. Our recruitment is focused really on finding top talent that's wants to be working in a startup, understands what that means, or has a passion to move into those areas. The understanding that you have to wear multiple hats. It may not be a 9-to-5 job that you're walking through, and really being able to tackle multiple facets at once. With that, we have an entire talent management team. Alitta and I come from a recruitment background as well, so we spend a lot of time working with startups and tech organizations, understanding what what they actually need and how can we support. And then we want to make sure that we're building out talent management strategies and some planning so that when your organization does scale, if it happens to blow, are you ready for that? Are you ready to actually build out your teams? And are you keeping an eye on things like diversity and inclusion? And how can you build out those programs into the fiber of your being and your culture within that organization? Within performance marketing, this is all around providing that strategic and foundational support. We help build that, the infrastructure and the foundations for repeatable marketing activities, strategies that are aligned to your organization's milestones, whether it be, you're working towards your next level investment, whether you're working to achieve a certain customer base or a number aligned to that customer base or a revenue goal. We want to make sure that your team has all of those pieces in place, that you're leaving no stone unturned when it comes to marketing, and that you understand what channels are available to you and how to use them, whether they're paid or organic. And then finally, within strategic partnerships, this is something that Alitta and I have been spending a lot of time and will continue to spend a lot of time here in 2021, is understanding what is currently out there in the ecosystem right now and connecting with everyone like yourselves to understand, what is needed, where can Harvest fill in the gaps, but also what services, programs, and people and information can we actually bring that exists there and act as a little bit of that hub to point those entrepreneurs and organizations in the right direction. If we're not able to support them internally in those particular areas, or if there's some complementary skill sets and collaboration that we can bring together, is very important to us. So I would say anybody out there that has an organization that has an interest in supporting startups, being a part of this ecosystem, which Rainforest is a great example of that. How can we better partner? How can we better bring awareness to what's available in our own backyard? And how can we actually bring value to these startups, to these entrepreneurs and organizations where they would otherwise may not be aware of it or be able to fully understand what value it is that they bring to the table. And this is really exciting, I think, for myself personally, and understanding how we can better support this ecosystem and drive innovators and entrepreneurs. Our future state, as we are just over a year old, we are receiving feedback. We're taking feedback in continuously with the partners that we work with, as well as our greater environment, to understand how we can bring value to a wider audience of innovators and entrepreneurs, and expand the capacity of which we offer these programs, or that same level of value and support built upon the same foundation. So if you stay tuned with Harvest, if you're following us, I think there's some very exciting developments that are going to be happening here in come Q2. So keep a pulse on that, and I think it's really exciting for us to be a part of that and for us to bring that into the community over and above what we're already completing. In the end, I mean, that's a little bit about us and what we do. I think from our perspective, if you are ever curious, if you're curious about Harvest, if there's anything within this presentation that Alitta and I spoke about that's of greater interest to you, or you want to dive into more detail, we're always here. I know you're more than happy to connect with us directly through LinkedIn or through otherwise. Our contact information, I'm sure, will be made available too. But that's exactly what Alitta and I are here for, is to help you understand better what we're doing, where we're going, and how we can help, and where we can point you in the right direction. But I think there's a lot of great things going on here in the prairies that we are excited to be a part of, and that we're just constantly looking for ways that we can adapt and change and be a startup ourselves. So we're playing in the same space as we're supporting the entrepreneurs that are probably in a very similar area, in a very similar fashion.
And I can jump in. I noticed there's some questions in the chat that I can probably start answering, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So where does our funding come from? So as a not-for-profit, we have been very fortunate to receive funding from both OFSIF and Western Economic Diversification. That funding has really enabled us to build the infrastructure to be able to build these programs and to get Harvest set up. We have, as I'm sure most people in this forum know, those grants and that funding comes with a lot of expectations of how we can drive more support or more industry into Calgary. We want to be a huge beacon for the downtown, as Calgary and other urban areas are struggling right now to keep our downtowns vibrant and growing. So, you know, that's one of the aspects that we're focused on. We want to bring more jobs. We want to help those organizations who are also wanting to grow and bring more jobs to do so. So yeah, we've received that funding so that we can align with those missions of diversification and increasing that footprint in the downtown core and of jobs, etc.
Alitta, I think there's a couple of questions about, you know, our not-for-profit status, and maybe we can touch at it at a high level and dig in deeper a little bit later if anybody wants to jump in. But do we want to touch upon, you know, where we got started and where does our funding come from? And maybe I can talk about it from our program's perspective.
Go for it.
Yeah. So on our end, we at the inception of Harvest and where we came from, you know, we did receive funding through OSIF and WD at Western Economic Development to get us off the ground. Where from a not-for-profit perspective, with these programs and services that we provide, you know, we operate in a cost recovery method. That's where, you know, our goal is to ideally break even, but be able to make these programs and services as accessible as possible. At this time, Harvest does not run a fund, nor do we use any of that funding to directly fund our internal venture builds, for example, or our organizations. We're truly there to bring the expertise and then support them on finding funding externally.
Yeah.
Anything to add there, Alitta?
No, I think that's it. Like we said, it helps us to build out the infrastructure of what we're doing here at Harvest. So yeah, and there's always more we can dive into it. I know in OSIF and otherwise too, it's very clearly stated kind of what that partnership looks like, and there's some additional detail out there, but I hope that kind of answers that question. There's a question from Peter of how can Rainforest help you? I think that the community and being able to really interact with more of the ecosystem, whether it's completely tech-centric or not, you know, but just being able to understand where people are coming from and hear different takes on the challenges or different perspectives on what's working, what might not be, helps us to evolve and helps us to figure out exactly where we can provide the most value. So I'm really, you know, I think with Rainforest, it's just a great opportunity to bring thought together and different perspectives and different people to the table that, especially throughout COVID, it's very difficult to get, you know, face-to-face or to get together. So, you know, Rainforest can help us by continuing to have a great mission and vision of bringing people together and driving that thought leadership that we can tap into and support as well.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, you know, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak within an area or with an organization and a community like Rainforest. I think with our perspective, a big thing about building out this ecosystem, being a bit of that hub and driving some awareness is building awareness of who Harvest is and what we do, where we play in. And that's, you know, that's all through events like this to find those areas of where we can best collaborate, where we can best play and gather feedback from you know, yourselves who are in this area, in this ecosystem, in this market and living and breathing it at the same time.
I'd have to agree with that. There's a lot of people in the Rainforest community that are very curious about Harvest. So it's really great that all three of you are here sharing. I also thought I would jump in and ask you the questions. That way you don't have to search for them. So what portfolio company are you most excited about?
Oh, that's tricky.
Ooh.
I'm very excited about our portfolio companies as a whole. I think that the way that we're going about seeing synergies internally with them and being able to bring great founders to the table, that they're very exciting. I love Neo right now. It's what, you know, I was very integrated in supporting NEO when I first started at Harvest, and it was my welcome to the madness a little bit, because NEO has been growing really, really quickly. So I'm really excited about NEO and seeing that grow. But ultimately, I think, within that fintech space, we've got some really interesting things on the horizon. So happy to see how they all kind of shape up and evolve. I actually really love the companies externally as well that we partner with. So we get to work with the Stellar Algos, with the Soleros, with the, so many great organizations within the ecosystem, the Birdie Breaks in Edmonton. So I don't know, I'm also very, very passionate and in love with, the startups that we're supporting from a support perspective. So I don't know, I can't pick.
Yeah, it's funny. I think if you went deeper into our venture building program and, the people within our organization that, are heavily involved in one or the other, I'm sure they would have their favorites. But Alitta and I spend so many times supporting both the external ventures and our internal ventures that, we like to get involved and get in, and get in a little bit deeper and understand those teams. And we have our own personal interests. But I think it's exciting walking through, where they're at, what they're excited for on their roadmap and what's on their horizon. And then really understanding, what are some of those challenges, and can we drive some similar understandings or conversations around the challenges that we're seeing across the ecosystem.
That's awesome. Okay, we have another one. Will the organizations that Harvest Builders work with be open to more junior level resources, as that seems to be a big gap in all industries in hiring talent?
Yeah, that's a great question. And like Cody mentioned, we both come from a talent acquisition background, spending lots of time in talent management and talent acquisition. So the answer is yes, there is a strong connection to building the talent and to helping to support entry-level talent within the ecosystem, as well as, having to bring in intermediate to senior level talent at the right times as well. I think anytime we look at an organization, startup, mature alike, we have to figure out where some of those gaps are and what the opportunities are to bring in more junior talent. I think if we, as I'm sure so many of you on the line are aware, like if we bring in too many junior talents early on, and they don't have the mentorship, the support, the guidance, the education within the organization to thrive, it doesn't do any favors either. So it's really about finding that balance of having enough mentors and advisors and leaders within the organization, intermediate, and that nice painting of different colors within the organization that's going to lead to success at any level, whether it's intermediate, junior, or senior.
Yeah, I think the exciting thing here within this particular ecosystem, I mean, Calgary alone has a lot of great infrastructure and education that's bringing out great junior level talent. We'll call them junior level talent. But though that junior level talent also, is in search of ways that they can progress their careers and they can grow. And that takes a little bit of leadership on us and bringing the right people in at the right time. That being said, I think, what's going to be exciting and what I have interest in as well is seeing these, what we call them junior now, probably ramp up to be, excellent intermediate, senior level subject matter experts in their own space as they jump onto these organizations. And with the right leadership and with the right people being brought in at a high level, they can make that jump a whole lot quicker and progress their careers right here in the prairies.
Yeah, and I just wanted to actually further that, because you mentioned something. One of the goals is to stop the churn of talent out of the prairies. That's been part of our mission from the very beginning, is how do we actually help to keep the talent in the prairies, whether it's founder talent, whether it's junior talent, what have you. It's we want to keep money, we want to keep talent, we want to keep expertise, all within the prairies. So we're always looking at new innovative ways to partner. And it's also about partnering with the educational institutions to make sure that as they're graduating individuals, that those people are set up for our startup tech ecosystem. I think we've seen, within industry, oil and gas, what have you, in the prairies, that there's always been a very heavy focus on their alignment with the institutions. And I think it's, we've already started this, but it's time for tech to really, really get integrated with schools as well, and with with those educators to make sure that people are coming out with the right skills and experience to ramp up quickly.
Okay, another one. Do companies pay a fee for the Harvest Builder services, or is company revenue share arrangements made?
Yeah, I can probably tackle this at a high level. So within our with the support that we offer externally, and those and the growth programs specifically, at this time, it's primarily a fee for service arrangement or based on deliverable over a certain period of time. We don't currently take equity stakes or anything like that in external ventures. It is quite complicated within those areas, and being able to dive deep in enough at the very start is something that we feel that as a not-for-profit organization and where we are coming from, it makes sense to have you save that equity for when you're really driving, when you're looking to raise, when you're looking to get to those next milestones, and save it where it's really going to drive that value. So right now we are primarily only fee for service.
Is most of what you look are interested and focused on software, digital tech versus chemistry, hardware tech, infrastructure tech, energy tech, embedded hardware, etc.?
Yeah, I can take that.
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of the services that we're providing, we're a bit less digital tech centric. So we are more open to whether it's ag tech, whether it's actual hardware, etc. We're more open. A lot of the challenges that companies see across the startup gamut are going to be similar. So we're able to help across a wider field. Within the companies that in our builder side, we're very focused in fintech to keep us focused, because we just don't have the manpower to be across the entire gamut. But yes, for the services that we provide, we're less software, digital tech centric and more open.
Awesome. So maybe I'll leave it up to you if there's anything else you would like to chat about, and then maybe we'll head into our breakout rooms. But I'll let you guys, if there's anything else you want to share. And yeah.
I think, you know what? I think it's a great time for us to jump into the breakout rooms.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I think there's lots more detail we could go into, and we could probably talk all day, and that's what I'd love to do personally. I just ramble and ramble and ramble. So please stop by the breakout room if you're curious and want some more detail.
All right. All right, we'll just wait for everyone to come back.
Yeah.
So welcome back, everyone. I just want to say thank you very much to Cody and Alitta and Nina from Harvest Builders for being here and sharing more about what Harvest Builders does and their role at Harvest Builders. It was very great to learn more, and it was so great to have you here and share with us. And thank you to everyone for coming out and coming to Lunch Without Lunch. And thank you for bearing with me, my first time hosting. I appreciate you guys being patient with me. So I just wanted to open the floor quickly. I know we only have a couple of minutes, but just a couple of community announcements. So as I mentioned at the beginning, there's a fireside chat with Greg Horowitz, Friday, March 26th. I'll throw the link in the chat. Come out if you can. And then also we have our nominations open. So if there's someone in the rainforest community that has inspired you as a role model, they've inspired your journey into tech and innovation in your career or just in life, nominate them. We'll post them on our social media, on our website, and on our blog. And if there's any other community announcements, I'll open the floor. And
I have one tomorrow, 5 o'clock, Zoom meeting about coding, any topic under coding.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and just introduce my friend Casey. I'm not sure if she's still on the chat here, but it was her first time coming out today, and she's non-technical but has a lot of soft skills and is looking for work right now. Really, really good manager of teams, and she's got a really wicked sense of humor. So if anyone's looking for someone, hit me up, DM me. If you're looking for someone who's like just a really good people person and very skilled, Casey's great.
Awesome. Thank you, TJ. Peter?
Just wanted to say, Amber, you did a really good job. Thanks for hosting today, and thank you our guests for coming in from Builders. It was really good and very informative. So way to go. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter.
Can I just say that if anyone is interested, like especially for people who are interested in pivoting into tech, Zach Novak has created a really cool group with a lot of discussion. They have a Slack channel. It's called Careers in Technology and Innovation. And if you want to hit me up on LinkedIn, I posted in the chat my LinkedIn profile, then I can connect you and we can get you connected with that group.
Thanks, Al. All right. If there's, I guess I also, yeah, it's 1 o'clock, but I also want to, yeah, leave the floor open if anyone wants to stay and chat. And if there's anything, yeah, if you want to stay and chat. But yeah, thank you again to Nina and Alitta and Cody for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for having us.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.